Hello everyone, this is the 7th video in the Python beginner series, and in this video we will learn about Python's input and print function. They both are built-in function in Python. That means they come pre-installed in Python. We do not have to create it manually. So before starting with the topics, let us quickly create a Python file and store it, and let us name it print or input and print. Input and print. Press enter. So here we have our file. Now coming to the input function first. So an input function, as the name suggests, is basically a function in Python that is used to get user input. For example, name of a user, age of a user, its email, its basically Gmail, or its mobile number, etc. and etc. So how do we basically get user input in Python? So we will write the name of the function input, then in the parenthesis what we have to give is the prompt that we want to show. So for example, enter your name if you want the name of the user, and let us save our file. And to run the file in Python, what we have to do is simply press F5 or function plus F5 key. So here we can see that Python is giving us a prompt of enter your name, so we can simply enter our name. Now press enter. Now one thing is that there is not space between our prompt and the data that we are entering. So for that, what we have to do is simply update our prompt here, and we can simply give a space here. Now if we run our program again and come here again, now here we can see that if we start entering our value, there is a space between the value and the prompt, so it looks much better. Now we press enter. Here we can see that our program is successful, and the data that we have entered, that is our name, has been read by the input function. But since we haven't stored the data read by the input function in a variable, we have no way to access it. So what we have to do is simply uh, store the data read by the input function stored in a variable. So name, let us call it name since it is a name of a person. So name. And now if I run this program again, so let us quickly enter the name. Now here if I print the value of the name variable that we have basically created in our program, so we should get the same data that we have entered here. Now if we print enter, here we can see that we are getting the same thing that we have entered. Now what is the data type of the input that has been read by the input function? So for that, in Python we have another inbuilt function, that is type function, type. For that, this is used for basically to know the data type of a particular value or a variable. For example, if I say type and name and press enter, here we can see that it is giving us class str. So class str means basically type str. That means the variable name is storing a value of string type. So from here we get that the input function by default gives a string, or basically gives string, or we can say whatever the data that input function reads is basically converted to a string. For example, if I run the same program again with having one more input as age input, and in the prompt where we can see that enter your age and then a space, then close colon quotes, and then run the program. So here we can write our name. Now here if we write 19, so now we will think that 19 is an integer, so the value that we have stored in our age basically variable will be of integer type. But if we print type, so let us quickly first print the value that we are having in our age variable, print age. So here we can see that it is 19, so it is consistent with what we have entered here. Now if we see what is the data type of this variable, so what we get here is that it is a string. So input function basically reads the data in form of strings. So 19 will be converted to string, and this thing or the name, that is all, that will also be converted to string. So suppose if we want to convert our age to integers for some reason, so what we will do? So for that we use Python's another inbuilt function, that is int. So there are basically some more functions like float or str. Now what these functions do? as I have mentioned, this int function is basically used to convert a given data type to an integer, and this float basically is used to convert a given data type to a float or a decimal. And as the name suggests, str, that is used to create, or sorry, basically used to convert a given data type to a string data type. Now let us quickly do this. Now if we want to convert our age variable to our integer, so what we have to do is we have to write int, then age, and then simply have to press enter. Now here we can see that say that it is giving us 19. Now if we print type age, what we get here is that it is giving us a string here. Now why it is the case? Here it is a we can see that in that statement we have converted our age variable from string to integer, but still we are getting its data type as string. So it is because whenever we used int function or float function or any other function to convert one data type to another data type, what happens is that this int function takes the value of that variable, converts it to the required data type, then simply returns it. That means in place of int age this statement 19 value will come. That's why in the prompt this is being printed, but in the variable it will not get stored. So to store it in the variable, what we have to do is simply age, then equals int age. Now what will happen here, as soon as this function will return the integer 19, this will get stored in the age variable. And now if you press enter here and print the value of age, and now if we print its type, so what we get here is that now here we can see that it is giving us class int. That means it is an integer data type. Similarly, we can also convert our age to float, for example like this, float, and press enter and print the value of age. So what we get here is that 19.0. Since our number is now containing a decimal, so it is a float data type. In Python we call a decimal a float. Now to again check the basically data type of our age variable, what we can do, type age and press enter. So here we can see that our function is also returning type function, that it is a float data type. So this is how we can convert our direct data from input function from string to another required data type. Now there are two methods, or we basically two ways to do this thing. One is that first we take our input and then we convert to our required data type by this statement like this. Or what we can do is simply use both the functions in a single line. For example, what I can do is that let us cut that statement here, and what I can write is that, for example, not this one, let us do it with the age. So here if I write integer, then in the parenthesis give our statement, that is input statement. So as I have mentioned in the case of int function, this is how basically the functions work in Python. What they do is, for example, here we have input function. So as we have talked about int function, that it takes an input, and if you come here, here it takes an input, and in place of this statement the value will be returned in the required data type. For example, int age will basically be replaced by a integer, that will be 19. So similarly, input function also works the same way. That is, what input will do is, input will take the value or the data that you have given, and that data will be replaced by the input function statement. So it will be given in the parenthesis of the int statement, and then the int function basically take the value given by the input function, work on it, convert it to the integer data type, and in place of this whole statement, what will happen is that we will get a integer returned. So now if we print our value of age and print its type, we can also print basically multiple values by separating it with comma in our print function. So what we can do is here simply write age, and now If we run the program, let us enter our name, age. So here we can see that print statement is giving us 18, that is the value that we have given in the print statement, age, and then comma, then its type. So after the comma, a comma basically will be replaced by a what? That is a white space, and here we are getting its basically data type. Now, one thing I want to show you that what will happen if we try to convert our name to an integer, basically integer data type. So if we write int and name and press enter, here we can see that Python is basically giving us an error, that is value error, and it says that invalid literal for int with base 10. What does it mean? That in literal means basically value, so invalid value for our int function. That means the int function or any function that we are using for data conversion will able to convert the value if it is compatible with the data type that we are trying to convert it in. So here we can say that sad, so there is no number as sad, so if we try to basically convert it to an integer, so it will throw us error. Similarly, if we, but the reverse we can do. For example, if we say here age, so we know that we have age as an integer 18 here, so we can convert it to a string, since string can store any character between quotes. It can be special symbols, it can be basically special symbols, numbers, digits, alphabets. So if we try to do something like this, age equals let us quickly remove, age equals str age and press enter. Now if we print the value of age and its type, so what we get is that age comma type age and press enter. Here we can see it is giving us 18 and class str. So in that case we can do, but we cannot always convert a string to an integer, but the vice versa is always possible. So this is the basics of input function in on Python. So coming to the second function, that is our print function. So till now we are using print function oftentimes in our program. So till now you would have got an idea that why we use basically a print function in a Python program, that is to basically print the value on our screen. And the syntax to do that is simply as we are doing print, and we have to in the parentheses give the values that we want to print a single value or to print a multiple value. For example, to print a single value, we can simply give the variable or the value that we want to print. We can directly give the value that is hello world or something else. So here we can see that it is printing hello world. Or if we want to give multiple values, we can separate them by comma. For example, I can say hello world, we can say name, we can say age, and what we can print here is that simply what we can print here, let us print a string. This is a string. And now if I press enter, here we can see that we got our hello world, name variables value that is string, age, and this is a string. So the basically values that will be separated by comma will be separated by a space in a string, sorry, in a print function. For example, here we can see that hello world is separated from the name variable by a space. So that is how we can basically use print function. Now one thing I want to show you that if we use multiple print statement, then what happens? If we say print age, so let us now here print name. Now if we run this program, so what we get? Let us name, enter our name Rohan, age let us say 15. So here we can see that for the first print statement that we have got here is, so let us quickly have our file that we have created here. Now here we can see that first we have said print name. So we are getting our name. Then we said print age, and it is printing age. But one thing to notice that we have printed our value, that is name, in a one line. Then print is basically printing that the age thing in the second line. But if we do something like this, print and then separated by comma, that means basically print both the values in the using the same print function, then what happens is that if we press enter, so here let us quickly enter the name Rohan 18. So here we can see that we are getting the basically our values in a single line with separated by a single space. So what is the difference between the previous one, that is using two print statements, and this statement? So if I print the value using the same method, that is using different print statement for our values age, so what happens is that they are so what happens is that we come basically on a new line as soon as we enter the as basically prints the next value. So what happens is that whenever we print a value using print, so it basically appends a new line character or prints a new line character after printing the value. For example, after printing the value Rohan here, Python will the print function will basically print a new line character. A new line character is basically a character in Python that is used to tell the program that is you have to come to a new line, or you have to start printing to a new line. For example, first this statement print will print the name, that is Rohan, then it will append a new line character or print a new line character basically, so the cursor will come to a new line, and then we will come to the second print statement that will print our age. So that is how print statement works. Now if we want to basically just for example we want to change that if the print statement does not, or the print function does not add the new line character to the end of our basically statement or the values that we are printing, is, or we can say we can customize the symbol for the character that the print function is adding to the values, or at the last of our values. So here what we can do is that we can set it by using end argument. So if we say end equals /n, so /n basically nothing but it is a new line character. So if we basically run the program by this, so nothing will happen, the output will be same as previous. So here we can see that simply let us have Dave and 16. So here we can see that we have got the output as we are getting previously. So it is basically inserting new line character. Now if we change the new line character, then what will happen? Let us say $. Now if I press enter and let us quickly write the name, so here we can see that now what happens, print statement first print the value, that is our Rohan, that is the name, then it will check what is the end character that we have to basically print, so that is $. In this case it is now not what, it is now not new line character, so it will not, the cursor will not come to a new line. So after basically printing the end character, it will print, so basically command will come to the next print statement and it will print the age. So that is how print statement works. If we write /n, that is a new line character, again that shows Python or tells Python to come to a new line. So our print function will work normally. So here we can see that, let us say Harry 24. So here we can see that now after printing the name, it prints the end character, that means /n, and comes to our new line and then prints the second thing, that is age. So that is how basically print statement works. We can also use /n character in our regular strings also. For example, if I come to our shell here and if I say print hello world, so hello world will be printed. But if I print hello world and then /n, now what will happen? Now if we press enter, here we can see that first hello world will be printed, and after that /n will be read, and the cursor will come to a new line after printing that value, and here our programs basically finish, or our statement finishes. We can give also multiple /n characters. For example, we can say simply like this: /n/n /n. So what will this statement do is, it will basically keep coming on new lines as the number of times we are having /n characters. So if we press enter, here we can see that after printing the hello world, we come to a new line, then we come to the second line and the third line, and our program ends here. So that is how print statement basically inserts or prints /n characters to the end of our values when we print it, simply using print statement. Or we can say when we do not specify by ourselves a value that has to be printed by the print statement at the end of our value. Now coming to the second thing, as we have seen earlier also, that whenever we try to print multiple values in using print statement, for example here, then we separate it by comma. So comma will be interpreted as or we can say it will be converted to a space. That means whatever values we separate in the print statement using commas, in the result they will be separated using what? Blank spaces, single blank spaces. So we can also customize that thing also. So for that, what we use is, that is SEP, stands for separator, that is separate, or we can say sep argument, and we can specify our basically custom character or custom string that we want to our values be separated by. For example, if I say triple dot, and let us remove that statement and remove this, we can also use sep and sep argument and end argument at the same time. But let us quickly look at the sep one right now. So if we say age, now normally if we print without specifying this argument, then what will happen? Name and age will be separated by a space, as we can see here. Now if we run our program now, what happens is that, so here let us quickly enter another random name, 6. So here we can see that the print function, as we have given here, prints the name, then a comma is encountered. So what will happen? The print function will look for the separator. The default is the blank space, but since we have defined our custom separator, so it will separate the values or the items that we have given in the print function by triple dot, and then it will basically print the second value. We can give anything here. Basically we can give star. For example, if I want to give star or anything that I want, for example, let us say star, or let us say dollar, and press enter. Now if you enter our name, let us say what we can enter, Taylor 45. So here we can see that our values that are separated in the print statement by comma are separated by dollar in our result. So this is some basic concept of input function and print function. So I think I will end the video here. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe and share, and I will see you in the next video.